Hi, welcome to what promises to be an intriguing session of the Success with People Insights. There is a companion newsletter, Success with People newsletter, that we sent out. Um, and the feedback, somebody wrote to say, hey, I have never seen anything like what you have in the content anywhere. It's true. It's true. We are breaking new ground here today. Hi, I'm Trevor E.S. Smith, and I'll be your guide through this wilderness as we deal with the issue of our inner critic, which is an elegant way of speaking about the voices in our heads. So, but the difference is that we are looking at the issue of the inner critic from the perspective of our individual or personal behavioral styles. That's the difference as well. All right. So, how did we get here? Let me be open and tell you where is this coming from. So, I went into a folder and I opened it and I saw a few sheets of blue paper with some scribbling on it. And I couldn't make out the scribbling initially. And then I remember that in 2021, I was invited. I don't remember who inspired me to have my inner critic dictate to me a letter, just right. And the indication was use your left hand so that you are in a different space. You're not controlling the thing. So whatever the inner critic says, you will write, and write, and write, and write. And that got 2 pages and a half in 2021. My inner critic dictated. Now, a little difficult to read because I was writing with my left hand. But some years after, 21, can't count. 3 years after, I found some profound insights. Yeah, of course, they're brutal. At one point, I was called a coward by my inner critic. Yeah, take it in stride. But really and truly, there were some, for me, I'm seeing them as truths, or put it this way, I'm seeing some of the feedback as something that I need to do apart, aside from dodging it and um, being politically correct and not really confronting the issue. So there are some commitments that I am now making to silence my inner critic. But I can only do it with evidence. I can't do it in terms of just talking around and explaining, etc. I have now to go and do some concrete things to say, here is evidence. Stop talking. All right. Okay. So that's why we are here. Right? Okay. So what happened is this. After going through, my immersion and reflection, I'm saying, how do people from different behavioral style deal with these voices in their head? And that's why we went forward and created this new dimension, this new idea of dealing with voices in your head, your inner critic, from your unique behavioral style. New ground, never been done, and that's what I want to share with you. So, welcome. I don't know if you are here because you actually are conscious of these voices in your head, or maybe you just are here curious to say, hey, I think Trevor is suffering from, a multiple personality disorder. Let me go and see how bad, is his case. I don't know. But either way, that's the context for this session's discourse, and we will go forward. So I want to start by helping us to understand this concept of the inner critic. As I said, this is an elegant way of talking about the voices in our head. Those chattering sounds that you are saying, hey, you can't do that, that's not your thing, man, leave it alone. You can't manage that. That's beyond you. You know that have never followed through on this. Those are some of the things that we're talking about. That's what we're talking about when we say our inner critic. All right. So what is important, though, is to understand that those voices are not the true you. Let me tell you something. In 2009, I went back and looked at a sermon that I preached, but it's from a different angle. But it did speak in terms of, and I used the term then, the voice in your head. Beware of the voice in your head, I think was the title of the sermon. And the context then was different in that what I was saying then was that we have to be careful because there's a voice in our head, that what we might call our ego, separating us of a true self from our ego. And that's it, that we might actually see ourselves through the eyes of a voice in our head, which is not the genuine person, the real you. Okay? So let me just quickly share what I did. I invited the congregation to stand and to take up the Bible or a songbook, standing, put the Bible on the seat and remain standing. And then the next step was to put yourself on the seat and remain standing. And of course, you're saying, what is that? I don't know. How can I do that? And that was the argument. We don't see ourselves as being different from us. And so that was the context then. And I'm raising it now because that's one of the things that we have to do when we are dealing with our inner critic, is to understand it's not us, it's not the core me, it's not a true reflection of who we are. I like the next sentence here, which says that the inner critic really and truly should be supporting us. It should be guide. It should be a way of helping us to navigate through life with balance, And so maybe the initial idea was that this should be our quality assurance unit, our internal quality assurance unit. But they have gone rogue. And so they're not doing the job that they were intended to do. What they have done actually is to gather a lot of information about us. They have identified our fears, our insecurities, our missteps, and our faults. And then they have used that information to so badger us as to provide us with a feeling of creating us a feeling of doubt, wondering about our self-esteem, our capabilities. So unchecked, our inner critic can actually render us impotent and frustrate us. All of us want to be successful and fulfilled and have a joyful existence, but our inner critic, those voices in our heads, those negative voices, threaten our aspirations. So, for example, we decided that we want to go and do a course, or let me be a little commercial here, that, something, I want to do a behavioral DNA assessment from extended district travel. And the voice comes, what? What are you going to do with that? You know yourself already. Look how long you have been living with yourself. You don't need that assessment. Or where the course is, hey, what's the point of this course? You know you're going to drop out. You're not going to find the time. You're going to find some excuses why you can't complete. What's the point? And so after a while, you just give in because the badgering is unbearable. That's the challenge that we have. That is our introduction to our um, inner critic. Yeah. Now, the difference that we're going to do this evening, and we work actually still trying to get out of here within 30 to 35 minutes, so we have to speed up, is that as with most aspects of our lives, our behavioral styles, our preferences, how we want to navigate through life, influence everything that we do. And so it also influences how we deal with our critic, inner critic. And so we're going to go down this treacherous path that you see on the right here, hardly been traveled, and to look at how the inner critic interacts with four core behavioral styles. So let us look at, as you know, we use the discerning model of communication and leadership to enhance performance, to help individuals better understand themselves, to help teams. So if our inner critic were to be doing the right job of coaching, it could actually be helpful. So for example, if we look at the graphic on the right, it could be saying to someone who has a preference for dominance, D-style, driven, direct, outgoing, task-oriented individual. It could say, you need to listen a little bit more. I know you like to think fast and to respond quickly. And so you hear an idea and you think you've got it. No, wait, listen a little bit more. That will help you. And part of the reason why you're not listening is because of impatience. You want to get ahead and you want to make things happen quickly. But slow down a little bit, listen a little bit more, and you'll be surprised to see how much better you are able to relate with others, and you will see improvement in your results. That's good coaching. That's the kind of advice that people could take. What about the I style? It could actually say, I know you like to multitask and be creative, etc. But focus. You need to focus a little bit more. I know you like to juggle many things, but sometimes you need to just have a one thing at a time approach. Yeah. And part of how you can achieve that is by being able to say no. I know people ask you to do this and you're saying yes, 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 because why would I deny my friend? But what if you really can't carry out all the things that you are promising to do? Then with the S style, yeah, milk of human kindness, you harmony, you get along with everybody, you want peace and so on. But sometimes you're not protecting yourself. Sometimes you're giving too much of yourself. You need to be able to speak out, and express yourself. Let people know you're a human being, you're hurting, or you have these needs. So speak up. That's a good advice for someone who has the S style, which is more reserved, people-oriented, inward-looking, wants peace and harmony. Then, what about the C style, conscientiousness, task-oriented, reserved, focused on system structure, accountability, compliance, of course. So, the advice could be, hey, maybe you should learn to step into the shoes of others. You need a little bit more empathy. That will help you to achieve more, because people will then start to listen to you. I know we talk about accountability and all of that, but a little more empathy would help. And this idea of black and white, there is a gray area. So you need to be able to accept that things are not just cut and dry, black and white. All right. So, sorry, kind of digress there, but that's where an inner critic could be useful. And that's where I'm indicating to you the kind of advice that you could get from a better understanding of the discerning model of communication and leadership. But let's get on to the task that is before us. So, what's the dynamic like with the inner critic and individuals who have a preference for D-style behavior. We're talking about dominance, right? Driven, direct, wanting to get results yesterday. Right? So the inner critic will double down on that. The inner critic will say, "Okay, fine. You want results. You're pushing for success, but you fail there. You fail, man. Yeah, you're not really as successful as you think. All of this, hullabaloo and all of this excitement that you're going up with and going on as if you are, the great one. Yeah, look at that. You messed up there. That's part of what the load that is being put on these sides. So that's where it's coming from. So what is your response to that? I'm suggesting that you appeal to your record of achievement. Say, yes, of course, you messed up here. But look, I have a track record. Look at what it is that I've achieved. So draw on your successes to still that voice that's there that's trying to say that, point out some inadequacy on your part. The other thing would be, however, is to understand that you're not always going to be successful. You're not always going to get your goals, or you're going to be missteps, mishaps, and setbacks. So one of the things that you have to do is to learn to embrace that. Remind yourself that yes, you are a normal person. You strive for success, etc. But you're open to setbacks. Learn to accept them. And just in case you want to be balanced, you could ask colleagues to give you an objective view as to what's happening with you. Where are you on the path that you want to go? All right. Let us look at your inner critic from an I style perspective. Remember, I style influence, right? Which is outgoing, people oriented, creative, innovative, wants to connect, wants to make a difference. Yes. So social acceptance then would be the area of vulnerability. Let us say you had a conversation, you had a meeting and you had a new client and you wanted to connect, and the meeting didn't go so well, or you had a presentation to make and the feedback that you were getting wasn't so right. And the critic is going to come, so yes, Trevor, you think that you are Prince Charming and that you are wonderful, but look at that, you messed up. Yeah, maybe you need to pull back into your shell and stop this attempt of trying to connect. Yeah. So, for example, again, I can stick this in here. Maybe you need to start this, insights, having these sessions, because look, you're not having 500 people. Why don't just give this thing up? So that you're wasting your time. That's where the inner critic could come into somebody who's, needing to connect with others. But the key then would be to reflect on the healthy connections that you have developed and continue to develop, or the impact that you have had on people and continue to have. The key though is to make sure that you're not looking for external validation, that internally you're confident about who you are and what it is that you do. And so you're not easily shaken because of some rebut, somebody did something that wasn't so right, or rebuffed you. Yeah, that's not who you are. And that doesn't define you. Yeah. So that's sort of where you want to go. And of course, you continue to work on boosting your self-esteem and not being overly concerned in social interactions. What about our S-style colleagues? Let us understand the S-style again. Steadiness. That's people-oriented, reserved. That's where the make of human kindness flows from. That's where your support. You want the team to work. You want harmony. Can we all just get along? Yeah. So basically, the critic then hones in on this spirit of wanting to support, this kindness, this willingness to be self-sacrificial and to give up yourself. And the critic is coming to say, yes, okay, man. Yes, so you are this kind person, but you know that so and so is disappointed because they expected you to come and help them plan for the party, or deliver presents, or do whatever it is that they were expecting, and you didn't go. Whoa, what a bad person you are. You know, you're not living what you preach. You're saying that you're kind, etc. But look at how you know how disappointed that person is. That's what the voice is. The inner critic will get at you. And the answer to that is, you got to set limits. You have to say no. You have to protect yourself. You will kill yourself by trying to meet everybody's expectation. That's where it is. You have to protect your well-being. I see, for example, an area, and look at, we're involved with the church, so you can see ministers, pastors, who are so committed to the work and to the congregation that they mess up their family. Some of them even get divorced because they have not set boundaries. And one of the things that you have to do to deal with your inner critic is to set boundaries. Yes, at some point in time, I have to say no. And if it disappoints somebody, so be it. I'm not selfish, but I cannot meet all of these expectations. And so, in order to keep my mental health and physical health, I need to be able to stop. And so, one of the things, and this is a criticism or a challenge of Estelle, is the failure to confront issues and to speak up about them. And the tendency is to say, something for a peaceful life. Let me leave it alone. No, sometimes you need to speak out and to say, I need this. I need this. It's not selfish. Sometimes you have to protect yourself. So let's move on to the C style. The criticism, then, of course, one of the things that we talk about, the C style, which is task oriented, reserved, very serious about compliance, standards, reliability, accountability, making sure to get things right. Do not present things to me with mistakes in it, correct it before. So when your C style makes a mistake, the critic jump in. Okay, Mr. Perfect. Yes, man, you are this wonderful, but look at how you are messing up. All right, that's what's gonna get. It's gonna point out every time there's a mistake. So what you want to do then? I'm not saying you go down the road with them, but understand that mistakes are going to happen, and that you need to, instead of beating upon yourself when it happens, it's to learn. See that this is an opportunity for learning and growth. That way, then kind of negate the opportunities for the critic to point out how perfect you are, right? And also set standards that are more realistic. And or if you want to go back and know you document things, go back and look at your performance and to say, yeah, after all, I'm doing pretty well actually. You know, I'm not, making a lot of mistakes. All right, need to move on. So how do you actually generally know? We looked at it from individual behavioral style, but overall, I want to give you a critical approach. This is a powerful way to deal with the voices in your head. Yeah? And you can practice it starting right now. And it's simple. Name them. Identify them. A lot of people make fatal errors by trying to ignore them. Oh, come on, I'm not listening to you. No, call them out by name. Call them by name. Negative Nancy. Yeah. Doubtful, Don, fearful Freddy. Call him by name. so that you know, yes, Freddie, I hear you. I understand that there's a danger here, but I have to go anyway, Fred. Yeah, call them by name. What is the value of calling them by name? Is that you're able to recognize as they enter the picture, and you can see what it is, and you can deal with it. So you want to give each of your voices, and you can separate them. You know, you can classify them and give them a name. So give them a distinct name. And what that does is helps you to separate yourself from your negative thoughts. Call them out by name and counter them. And just in case you think this is babbling and craziness from me, there is actual work. So we did some research online, and this is a kind of summary of stuff that I got from Psychology Today and Mindful websites out there that talks about psychological distance, one of them. And so naming your critic helps separate your identity from the critical voice. This separation allows you to see the inner critic as just one part of your psyche and not entirely who you are. So you have to identify with it. Believe you me, people are identifying with the critics, and that's where you're getting low self-esteem and depression. And sometimes people just stop. They can't function effectively. The other one would be increased awareness. When you name your critic, you'll become more aware of when it appears and the specific triggers that activate it. That's the key there now. What you want to do is to get ahead of the critic. So you can watch and see when fearful Fred comes in, what was happening before. And so maybe if you can identify the triggers, you can actually get ahead of them so that they, it doesn't arise. So this awareness is the first step in managing and reducing its influence. And there's another one, empowerment. Identifying and naming the critic, inner critic, empowers you to challenge and change negative thought patterns. So when you hear Fred that is always fearful and wants to keep you from experimenting or doing anything at all that's different, you can actually start to confront it and to say, all right, come Freddie, let's have a talk here. Yeah? So it shifts the dynamic from being a passive recipient of criticism to be an active participant in your well-being. Yeah. So you can start to push back and to say, is this logical? What are you saying? Does this make sense? And what can I do about this? That's the benefit of the naming. All right. So understanding and addressing your inner critic through the lens of your behavioral style, which is a road that we went down. That's a new road. It's a powerful step towards personal and professional growth. And, I give you some of the strategies that were there, some of the feedback that we're saying that you should actually use. Again, I would suggest that the recording is going to be available. Flip back through it, share it with somebody. As a matter of fact, this will make a difference in people. This should be shared, right? To see what steps there are from the different styles. And you can increase your self-awareness, build resilience, and of course, achieve greater success. Going to put in a little bit of, if you want to call it commercial, I'm going to make a suggestion though. Seriously, that if you were to do your behavioral DNA assessment, you would have a deeper understanding of yourself. And because of the range of competencies, skill sets, then basically that it identifies, you will be able to see areas in which you might be more vulnerable to your critics and areas that on which you could build greater resilience. So it's something to think about, not forcing, just making it clear that in the same way that I can share other information that's useful, I can also share valuable tools, right? If you want to look at it. But just want to suggest that let's have a conversation. And I'm opening up my HubSpot to you. See there, meetings.hubspot.com/Trevor-Smith4. It's there. Once you click, choose a time that works for you, and the meeting invitation and everything will be right there. And we are with the Success with People Academy, and we work to empower individuals, teams, and their organizations. And it focuses in areas like in communication, leadership, productivity enhancement, or performance. All right. So, inviting you have the discussion so that we can see, give you a taste of how the discerning model of communication and leadership works. We have spent, let me tell you where that comes from, over 3 decades now, two and a half decades, we have been working on developing a body of knowledge around the DISC framework: dominance, influence, steadiness, conscientiousness, where we have gone for. We have books, we have webinars, we have tons and tons and tons. Just on LinkedIn alone, I have over 300 and odd articles, newsletters. So I have a whole body of knowledge around building on this discerning point of communication. So we are the Success with People Academy. We are, in fact, firm recertification providers. And what that means is that in order to be a recertification provider for SHRM, you have to operate at international standards. And so that's a sort of quality seal. And if we were to give you a certificate, it would have this SHRM seal on it. All right. And we do offer behavioral DNA assessments from Extended Disc on the Revolutionary Things platform. Don't normally speak about our technology, and that's where we started. InfoServe Institute of Technology, 20 odd years before even Success with People came on board. We were known for our technology. We still do that. You know, we have TVET solutions that covers all of the TVET certifications in the Caribbean in certain areas, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Lucia, etc. But also our SPIKE strategic performance improvement and knowledge enabler is a multifaceted solution. The key to that one is that it includes an e-competency framework, so which acts as the hub. So that competency framework helps you to decide who to employ, what, so these are recruitment, onboarding, then having the persons be trained. So these are learning and development, performance appraisal, all of that, succession planning, all of that is done through the competency framework. So here we are. Let's have a discussion. That's all I want to say to you today. Let's have a discussion. Info at Success with People at Org. If some of this information seems to make sense or is useful to you, you can get more of it. For example, this very session is going to be on our YouTube channel in a little while. So it's going to be Extended Disc Solutions, Extended Disc Solutions, where you see a number of these sessions, video sessions, where we give active feedback. And then the newsletter is on LinkedIn. You could subscribe, please, to Success with People as a newsletter. You get all of this content. And our Leadership DNA Club is on LinkedIn again, where a lot of this information is shared. And critically, I'm inviting some of you bright ones to come and share. Please, I'm giving you a platform, to come and share your ideas. So just ask me. It's not an advertising board where people just come and dump information, but I would love to have some other insights being shared on the Leadership DNA Club. So if you have insights you want to share, want to make yourself known, come. All right. Thank you very much, and may God continue to bless you.